Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
There is a lot to unpack from the last 24 hours surrounding the Boston Red Sox, and none of it is particularly easy to digest. Roster moves were made, a young pitcher made his major league debut and acquitted himself remarkably well, and injury news emerged on multiple fronts that will demand close attention as the season progresses. Welcome to Red Sox Focus. We are going to work through all of it methodically today. The roster transactions, the injury updates on Triston Casas and Kutter Crawford, the performance of Willson Contreras and the concern that followed him out of the game, and a full breakdown of what transpired on the field against the Minnesota Twins. Let us begin with the roster moves, because they set the context for everything else that happened. The Red Sox made 3 transactions, and all 3 made sense given the circumstances. First, the club called up right-handed reliever Jack Anderson from AAA Worcester. Second, left-hander Luis Santiago was optioned back down to Worcester. Third, and most significantly from a roster construction standpoint, Johan Oviedo was placed on the 60-day injured list, which created the 40-man roster vacancy necessary to officially add Anderson to the Major League roster. Walking through each move individually helps clarify the logic behind the sequence. Santiago had been a useful presence in the bullpen during his time with the club. In 3 2/3 innings of work, he did not allow a single run and did not surrender a single hit. 3 walks and 4 strikeouts in that span represent a genuinely impressive first stint at the major league level for a young reliever. The decision to option him back to Worcester was not a commentary on the quality of his performance. It was a product of roster math and the recognition that the bullpen, as currently constructed, skewed heavily toward left-handed options. Santiago was the most logical candidate to be moved in order to create space, and his time will come again. This is not the last we will see of him at the major league level this season. What he showed in his brief appearance was more than enough to establish that he belongs in this conversation, and the Red Sox organization clearly views him that way. The Oviedo move was equally straightforward. He is not expected to be available for approximately 6 weeks, which makes the 60-day injured list the appropriate designation. Keeping him on the 40-man in the interim would have been an inefficient use of a roster spot, and the club acted correctly in making that move official. His absence, however, is not insignificant, particularly when you consider the broader pitching depth situation that we will get to momentarily. As for Jack Anderson, his background is worth establishing for those who may not be tracking Worcester as closely as the situation now warrants. He made 2 starts at the AAA level this season, posting a 3.72 ERA and a 3.1 FIP across 9 2/3 innings. Prior to this season, he spent the bulk of 2025 at the AA level, and he also represented Team Great Britain in the World Baseball Classic, a performance that drew some attention within scouting circles. He was not a household name heading into this call-up, but what he did in his major league debut last night made a strong first impression that deserves genuine recognition. Anderson entered the game in relief and delivered 3 innings of work. He struck out the side in his first inning on a major league mound, a detail that should not be glossed over, because that is not something every pitcher does in their debut, regardless of the level of competition. His only blemish was a solo home run surrendered to Byron Buxton, who at this particular moment in time is the hottest hitter in baseball and is not someone you penalize a pitcher for allowing to do damage. Beyond that one pitch, Anderson was sharp. 1 hit, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, 3 innings. For a pitcher making his first major league appearance, that is a performance the Red Sox organization can feel very good about. He earned the right to be in this bullpen and will have the opportunity to build on what he showed. Aroldis Chapman worked the 8th inning and struck out the side on 3 pitches in what was, at that point, a 6-0 game already well out of reach. There will be questions about why Chapman was deployed in a blowout, and the answer is straightforward. He had not pitched in a week. pitchers at his stage of their career require regular game action to stay sharp, and a lopsided loss is exactly the kind of low-stakes environment in which you want to get a veteran closer his necessary work. 3 strikeouts and a clean inning accomplished exactly what the coaching staff needed from him. Now let us turn to the injury updates, because these are the conversations that carry the most weight in terms of what they mean for Boston's outlook over the next several weeks. Triston Casas has been shut down with an abdominal strain, and while that is not the diagnosis anyone wants to receive, Alex Cora was careful to clarify before yesterday's game that the injury is not related to the ribcage issue that Casas suffered previously. That distinction matters. The rib injury from a couple of seasons ago was a significant structural concern that fundamentally altered his 2025 trajectory. An abdominal strain, while still serious and still requiring time, carries a different prognosis and a different recovery framework. Cora indicated that Casas will be shut down until he feels better, at which point the team will initiate a spring training-style throwing and activity build-up to bring him back gradually. That process takes time, and the realistic expectation should be that Casas is unavailable for a meaningful stretch. It is yet another chapter in what has been a frustrating injury history for a player with enormous offensive potential, and the timing is particularly inconvenient given other concerns emerging across the roster. Kutter Crawford's situation is one to monitor closely. The Red Sox ended his rehab assignment after a single game, initially without explanation, which is the kind of thing that tends to generate anxiety among a fan base already attuned to this organization's injury history. The explanation eventually came from Cora. Crawford was experiencing forearm soreness. The organization does not currently believe the issue is serious. No MRI or imaging has been scheduled, and the expectation is that Crawford will be able to resume his rehab assignment and pitch again sometime next week. That is the optimistic read on the situation, and it may well prove accurate. But forearm soreness in a pitcher is not something that can be casually dismissed. The forearm is a warning location, and the fact that his rehab was interrupted after one outing means the club is being appropriately cautious. With Oviedo already on the 60-day injured list, losing Crawford for any additional period of time creates a pitching depth problem that the organization will have to address creatively. Patrick Sandoval and Peyton Tolley represent the primary depth options in the current system, and while both have value, the margin for error narrows considerably when multiple arms are unavailable simultaneously. On the field, the Red Sox fell 6-0 to the Twins, and the loss illustrated once again the pattern that has defined this team's season. When the starting pitcher does not reach 6 innings, Boston does not win baseball games. That formula has now held without exception across every start this season, and Sonny Gray's outing last night did nothing to disrupt it. Gray was uncharacteristically hittable, allowing 6 hits and 5 earned runs across 4 innings, including 2 home runs. His command was not where it needed to be, and the Twins made him pay for every mistake he left over the heart of the plate. It was a stark departure from the form he had shown in his previous 2 starts, which had produced a rotation ERA well below 2 across the previous turn through the order. One difficult outing does not erase what has been a genuinely strong start to the season, but the timing, in the opening game of a series against the best team in the American League, made it sting more than it otherwise might have. The offense provided no cushion and no momentum. Boston managed 6 hits against a Twins pitching staff that exploited a lineup that lacked its usual energy and patience. 12 strikeouts and a single walk is an ugly combination, and it is the walk number that tells the most damning story of the evening. This is an offense that is capable of manufacturing runs through a variety of means: singles, doubles, base on balls, stolen bases, but none of that machinery was operating last night. 4 of the 6 hits came from just 2 players. Roman Anthony went 2 for 4, which was one of the few genuine bright spots in an otherwise bleak offensive performance. Masataka Yoshida also collected 2 hits, and his continued production raises a legitimate question about lineup construction going forward. Yoshida is one of the most consistently dangerous hitters in this lineup when he is healthy and getting regular at-bats, and the argument for keeping him in the lineup on a daily basis grows stronger with each performance he delivers. Trevor Story and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa accounted for the remaining 2 hits. Andrew Monasterio went 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Carlos Narvaez struck out 4 times. The lineup as a whole offered very little resistance and far too many passive at-bats in situations where aggression was required. The most concerning development of the evening, however, had nothing to do with the box score. Willson Contreras left the game with lower back tightness, and that news overshadowed everything else that happened in Minnesota. Contreras has been the engine of this Red Sox offense through the early portion of the season, the hottest bat in the lineup, the most reliable run producer, and the player opposing pitching staffs have been forced to account for when constructing their game plans against Boston. Alex Cora indicated after the game that the team will evaluate Contreras when he arrives at the ballpark and that the injury is not believed to be serious. The tightness apparently developed on a play at first base rather than during a swing, which offers some encouragement in terms of the mechanism of injury. But lower back issues in catchers who are being asked to play first base carry their own set of complications, and the Red Sox will need to be thoughtful about how they manage him in the days ahead. If Contreras misses any significant time, this offense will feel his absence immediately. He has been the gravitational center of this lineup, and removing that element changes how every other hitter in the order is approached by opposing pitching. The Red Sox have demonstrated that they can win games when the starting pitching is on. The formula is proven, and the results have been consistent. But they need their offense to at least stay in games long enough for the starters to do their work. Without Contreras, that becomes a considerably more difficult proposition. The hope, and it is a genuine one given what Cora communicated after the game, is that this is a short-term issue that a day of rest and treatment will resolve. Red Sox Focus will have updates on Contreras, Crawford, and Casas as the information becomes available, and we will be recapping tonight's game in full as this Twin series continues. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.